rise and live again as my fist of vengeance, as my Moon Knight.
And welcome back to A Stark Contrast, where we discuss the differences and similarities from Marvel Comics to their MCU counterparts. And we are your hosts, Geoffrey
and Dai.
Hello, and welcome back.
Howdy. So I'm just going to nip it in the bud.
Oh, we're going straight into nipping in the bud.
I have what convention goers know as convention crud. And so
I don't know what
have
this
you never,
is.
Yeah,
no.
so I mean, if you've never been to a convention, there is a thing that, you know, germs are in the air. They're with our people. And sometimes you have the misfortune of returning home not as healthy as you were when you left.
Oh, sure.
And you don't quite know what it is.
Sure.
And so I have a bit of that going on.
Okay.
It is not the COVID. I've tested twice.
It's like me coming back from Coachella.
Yeah. It's pretty close. It's pretty close to that.
Yeah.
And so we call it the con crud.
Oh, interesting.
So I have con crud. I was just in MegaCon Florida. Orlando, if you will.
Yes.
And with the lovely people there and the Cadence Comic Art family. With our plethora of artists and creators, and I was assisting Ms. Tula Lotte. And I didn't buy anything at the show, but I sure brought home a souvenir.
Nice.
So here we are.
What did you bring back?
The con crud.
God, I was excited. I was like, "Ooh, what'd you bring?" Basically, no.
Actually, yeah, I don't think I did. I mean, I got a couple of sketches from our crew. I didn't buy anything actually. Oh, I got a couple of books signed by David Nakayama too. DNA.
That's right. Yeah. I think you saw
really
that.
Great. He does. He's been doing the X-Men like Hellfire Gala magazine covers and stuff. So he signed a couple of those for me. I got an X-Men cover. I got to hold a real life gator.
That's right. I remember
Loki
seeing
gator.
that. That was
variant.
insane.
Yeah, people thought it was a fake gator. I was like, no. She was real.
He's real.
And smelled like popcorn.
Really?
Yeah. The caregiver, by the way, it's like full disclosure, it's a habitat sanctuary.
Okay. I was gonna say, how did they bring a full on, just gator into the con?
Yeah, well, and it's also Florida, so and the guy was like, yeah, give her a smell. And I was like, what? He's like, no, give her a smell. And I was like, and she smelled like popcorn. And I said, well, why is that? And he's like, I have no clue. I'm trying to learn the science behind it, but I don't know why she smells that way. And I was like, this gator literally smelled like buttered popcorn. And she was so sweet and warm, and she was falling asleep.
Give her a smell.
I know.
Give me statements I don't want to hear.
Yeah.
For 500, Alec.
Yeah, so strange. But she was a great girl. Very good girl, Loki variant.
Imagine being like a gator like sanctuary and like you get like hit up by like a comic convention. You're like, hey, do you want to? And you're like,
for donations,
a comic con.
And then,
like
we
what?
got a tiny Loki helmet for her.
Like what do you like? Why is a comic? Like I've heard parties, I've heard animal theme, whatever. But now it's like a comic book convention. What?
And he said that all of the animals were very well tamed and adjusted to the environment.
The craziness.
They totally get it. Like so, I don't know what they do. I don't know where they bring them, but it was definitely like it was kind of fascinating to see them so docile. And they weren't
they weren't
under and they weren't crazy. Like they were just, as long as people abided and were approaching tamely and pet them gently, they were fine.
Yeah.
It was kind of incredible because I'm also terrified of gators. So
I would also agree with that statement.
For him to be like, here you go. And it's like you're holding this like 30-pound gator like a baby.
Yeah.
It's like, holy
Speaking
smokes.
of gators, I was at the San Diego Zoo this past weekend and
nice.
did not see a gator, but they did have crocodiles.
Crocodiles.
And so there was this one habitat where it's like water, like almost like a swamp light. You can see
Yeah.
through the glass in the water and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting over, like I see the top of the water and I'm like, cool. And then people were like looking down, and I was like, oh, let me look under. And I look under, it's a long crocodile. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, they're
shoot,
scary.
that's a big man.
They're scary.
Or a woman.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then you look up and you see the eyes
Just looking
just
at you.
lurking
Yeah.
above the surface.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
They're formidable.
They
very
don't
scary.
move.
Yeah. And yet we love Loki Gator.
Yeah.
Or Loki
Crocs, Loki
Croc?
Gators.
Yeah, I don't know which one it is.
I still am uncultured to the point where I do not know the exact difference between an alligator and a crocodile.
Their maw.
Oh.
One is more narrow than the other. So gator.
Well, there you go.
Gator is a little thicker. And
Okay.
the crocodile is a little more narrow. I could be completely wrong and it could be backwards, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The more you know.
The more you know. Did you know that there is, unrelated but semi-related, there is a place called Gatorland in Florida. It is exactly what you think it is.
If you were to say any other state, I would not believe you.
But because it's Florida.
Because you said Florida, I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That I actually went way before I went. My first time I went to Florida.
yeah.
My brother used to live there, and so I was curious because Leticia, one of the artists that was with us, I was trying to riff off all these like, hey, you could go do this, you could go do
Yeah.
that, and I was like, I wonder if Gatorland is still around, and I looked it up.
Yeah.
It's still very much thriving,
Yeah.
and you can still go there today for about $30 a pop. But so it's all gators. They have an albino gator. She's gigantic.
Oh, yes,
It's
I've
not
heard
so
of those.
cuckoo, right? But the backwards thing is that they sell gator bites and gator food. So you can go and pet and see
And
and
feed-
watch gators, and
and-
then you can eat them with ranch.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
I was like, that's
Whoa.
weird.
that's intense.
It's a little weird.
I am from California. Nothing against it. I just have such a different like end of the spectrum, like
Very strange.
way of life.
It's a full circle of
That's
life.
crazy.
Yeah.
I'm curious,
It's like chicken.
but I think I'm good. Oh,
Only one bite.
Okay.
Only one bite.
Yes.
Never again. Never again.
chewy.
Yes.
Okay,
Just a little bit.
depending.
Just a little
Okay.
Just a little bit. Ugh, never again. Anyway, welcome to the Mini Marvel number 5, where we talk about the broader Marvel universe and the MCU's hottest topics.
Oh yeah.
Sort of, kind of, mostly.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. So right off of that, we got some notable news in the Marvel universe itself as far as the comic book company and the base in New York goes.
Yes.
Executive Vice President and Creative Director at Marvel Comics, Mr. Joe Quesada, just announced his departure from the company today.
Oh,
So
wow.
he was previously editor-in-chief, strictly a writer, strictly an artist, you name it, and he's just grown with the company. So, long story short, Marvel signed an exclusive deal with Mr. Quesada right when they went bankrupt back in the 90s.
Okay.
And so since then, he's essentially kind of molded and guided the comic book brand to be what we know it as today. And he's assisted not only in like, like the classic Marvel superheroes, but he also touched quite a bit of the Star Wars franchise too. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens
Yeah.
without him at the helm and where
That
he
is-
goes next.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a big one. So,
Oh my gosh.
but like honestly, I feel okay about it. I don't think it's going to be too bad. We'll see.
You can only hope for the best, right?
Yeah, exactly. So good luck to you, Joe. And then, of course, the latest in the MCU. I mean, there's not much to this before we get into our actual topics, but Ms. Marvel is right around the corner. So if you've got Disney Plus, tune in next Wednesday for the series kickoff. Have heard nothing but great things about it.
Yes, I've seen some early critic reviews, non-spoiler critic reviews, and I've seen nothing but positive praise.
Have they seen the entire series?
I think it's the first 2 episodes.
Oh, okay.
First 2 episodes, and then from what I've heard, it's a really great coming of age story. You know, like most superhero origin stories, especially if they're a kid.
Right.
But then also touching on the Muslim part of it, and Kamala's background and everything, and how she's not only dealing with becoming a superhero, but dealing with the family aspect of it as well, and culture thing. And I heard that was really, really well put together in those first 2 episodes so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't wait for it because everyone, like, the MCU is getting younger now. Now I think about it. So it's just like, it's kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
Because I think, starting out the MCU was, Iron Man and kind of like middle-aged men and women and older adult heroes, and now it's going into quote unquote the young Avengers, I guess,
the babies.
And then it's like starting off, like, I think probably with Peter with Spider-Man.
I think so too.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah.
And then now all these younger heroes are being introduced. It's kind of like, oh, okay, like you can see the demographic shifting, and it's like, it's cool because now you get to see these coming of age stories from a true young person's perspective, rather than Steve Rogers trying to becoming Captain America or Tony Stark becoming a superhero.
Yeah,
so it's cool.
Yeah, very excited. Especially to see how her powers come into the fold on top of all of that.
Yes.
Because, I think we mentioned this before, but it is quite different than what we perceived in the comics. And that she was essentially an inhuman. And so now we're seeing that her powers are deriving from a cosmic source.
From like a bracelet.
Her wristlets. So that'll be interesting. I mean, and also curious to see what and if any cameos come up in the show.
Yeah, I wonder.
So yeah, I
mean,
like,
definitely probably some
Carol
Captain Marvel, probably some Carol like lore a little bit in there. To be like, oh my god, I love. But
and also I wonder if we'll get to see Monica again. Like, is this the part that she actually comes in again, or whatever?
Yeah, it'll
be interesting. I'm excited. And then of course, that leaves us with Thor: Love and Thunder, which just dropped another teaser, which is fantastic, and the Natalie Portman gun show with her those. She's so cut.
I don't get it, man.
It's so fantastic. I know my actual friend Jane, who is slowly leaning into all that is Jane.
Yeah.
Now, with my like, I'm hammering it into her brain. I'm like, you gotta look at Lady Thor. You gotta look at Mighty Thor. She's incredible. But she even said, she was like, dude, I thought they were airbrushing the posters and it was just kind of like a CG thing. And I was like, oh, no.
Nope.
No. She did the work. And for a vegan like Natalie Portman, that isn't easy. Like, she really
to bulk up like that.
She really had to have a very strict and strategic diet to gain
get that
muscle.
Jacked.
Yeah.
It takes at least like 6 months.
Yeah.
4-6 months type of deal.
Sure.
Like, Marvel will put you on that. They'll get you on a proper
Marvel
diet workout.
Yeah.
To get to that point.
Yeah.
But I mean, the first trailer we saw, I was just like,
yeah,
dude, those are like her real arms.
Yeah.
That is insane.
So good. Yeah, so that's I like how they're kind of countering every Thor thing with a Mighty Thor thing. So it's like we're seeing both Thor and a bit more of Jane each and every time. And it kind of, I gotta admit, it kind of does confuse me a bit because I'm like, is she a variant? Is she?
Like what happened in that time between Dark World and this one that she even is worthy?
Yeah. And she even says it in that new clip or the new trailer. Like, he's like, how long has it been? And she's like,
yeah.
Or she says it and he's like, oh, it's only been
That makes me
3.
think that she's not a variant.
Yeah,
That-
right,
or, like,
exactly.
she's not from another universe.
It seems like the actual 616 Jane Foster.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. A little bit different from the comic
Yes.
books, but
How do
still,
you feel about that? Because I saw the arguments on Twitter, people saying like,
Yeah.
oh my god, like why did they? I don't know.
Really?
Some negative, some positive. It's just like oh, I don't like how he looks because in the comics he's
Yeah.
basically noseless,
Yeah.
has a
and
Voldemort like
right. And that, you hit the nail right on the head. I think that's exactly why. That, and also Corvus Glaive. I feel like the similarities would be so, like, I mean, not enough to kind of confuse people, but I think that they've taken that treatment with a character that was pretty prominent and also a villain. So why not try something different? Or maybe they tried it and it just didn't look right.
There was also argument that it was like, because it's Christian Bale, it's like, why are you going to put a CGI over Christian Bale's face?
I mean,
Like, over like,
fair.
yeah. I mean, he's a great actor.
Yeah.
It's like, think about it. It's Christian Bale in an MCU movie.
As a
like,
villain.
Yeah. Like his stature of an actor.
Yeah.
So it's for him to be in like this kind of a movie, it's like, it's like getting Charlize Theron.
Right. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, it's kind of like you have to separate the two things and the two concepts and really just take it for what it is. And I think, just looking at it from a fresh perspective, I think he looks awesome. He is quite foreboding and quite scary, actually. You don't know what to expect with him.
I'm just curious now, like how the character. I mean, obviously, like the surface level is he's the God Butcher. He hates gods, cool.
Yeah.
But like I have no idea, like
And that name is also crazy.
Gore the God Butcher. That's crazy.
God Butcher.
Yeah. So I have like no idea like how he is in the comics besides
Yeah.
of him that he hates gods.
Yeah.
So to see I can't wait to see it like come into play and see
Right.
how he's like. How he comes into the Thor lore type
Yeah.
of thing, and like how do they even meet,
Mm-hmm.
and then you throw in the Guardians in there, you're like, okay, or
Yeah.
how do they come into play? Yeah,
Yeah.
so excited.
And how do they exit?
Yeah.
Like it's all these elements put together, and you're just kind of like, oh my god, how's this all gonna fit together in a single film? But once again, I mean, I'm sure it'll pay off. It'll pay off beautifully, and Taika Waititi is really good about bringing it all together. So yeah, we'll see. And then was it not Val Kilmer? Russell Crowe
As Zeus.
as Zeus, and then Chris Hemsworth bare bottom. Full.
I love that it was
bare-bottom.
like censored and covered and,
So tell
and
me
pixelated.
something. I understand that Thor has a back tattoo, but I did not look closer.
Apparently, it's of Loki's horns.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. That's what people were saying on like they
Ah.
zoomed in and it said like it has
Yeah.
like Loki's horns on the back. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, did you not see
Oh no,
that?
I didn't. You know me.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
watched it twice,
Yeah.
and I was like, "All right,
Cool.
we're good."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, apparently it's
Very
of Loki's thorns.
interesting. Okay.
Horns. I said thorns. Horns.
Horns.
Yes.
We'll
so
see. He's mourning his brother.
it's been a while. It has been a while.
Yeah. Okay. So, on to the actual mini Marvel discussions.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about two major, I guess, events in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as of late. First being Moon Knight, of course.
Yes.
So yeah, the whole series is available in streaming on Disney Plus right now. How about we start with Moon Knight?
Well, just as a whole, the show I think was great.
Yeah.
Especially for a character that isn't really known, I would say, right? In the MCU. It's not like a Captain America, a Hulk, a Thor, It's a totally new character that we've never seen on screen. And Oscar Isaac is kick ass.
Yeah. And of course, the series itself was created for TV by Jeremy Slater.
Yes.
Who did a fantastic job in conjunction with the directors of each episode. And yeah, I can't help but agree. And we also, I think we mentioned this in either our previous mini Marvel and or our Moon Knight episode, that they did something that we haven't quite seen since the first Guardians film, in that they're introducing this lesser known comic book hero or set of comic book characters, and then really bringing them to life in this like crazy way, very explorative way, that you're just like, you can't help but be consumed by their entire environment and their entire world.
Yes.
Which I think is so cool, especially with like the Egyptology of it, and bringing all of that lore in, and the history.
I love that, because we haven't seen that in a Marvel universe.
And even in general, when's the last time that they've
dug deep into Egyptian lore? Yeah, you're right.
A really in-depth, not not in a humorous way, but like a really, they're actually talking factually about the culture and the gods,
not
and the
off
history.
the top of the head can I recall.
I really can't. And I think that's what makes it so sensational. On top of it all, is just like getting to see these gods like towering over Egypt itself, and also what role they play in these human avatars' lives, and how they try to kind of balance the scales. Like, I feel like balancing the scales is like the overarching theme of the series too. Yeah. So I don't know, like, who of the alters, when you're introduced to Mark and Steve and Jake at the very end, do you have like a, I don't know, I don't want to call it favorite, but did any of them intrigue you more than the other?
Oh gosh. I mean, obviously I think Steven is a fan favorite for sure.
And I think that's very unexpected. I think people didn't necessarily expect to fall in love with a character like that.
Yeah.
And because Mark Spector is at the forefront when it comes to the comics, right? And so for Steven to kind of be introduced first, and to really take the reins of favoritism. And
they said that in the Assembled,
right? Yeah.
Because the director and the writers, they were like, I don't know if the crowd is gonna like relate to Mark, since he's such like he's like a mercenary, a killer, very stone cold.
Right.
Not much. There's not that much gray in him. It's more a lot of black and white type of thing.
Right.
So that's why they ultimately decided to give the audience Steven first. Let him go through his thing, because like people are gonna like fall in love with him, kind of thing. And people did, because like he's so innocent. Like he's just the guy that's trying to do his job at the gift shop.
It's personable.
Very, very relatable. Yeah. And you're like, oh man. And then you see the Mark take over, and you're like, oh my God, and then the deeper you go into the season, you really see like why Mark is the way he is, and why he was kind of repressing Steven from seeing certain things, because it's like, the reason you exist, Steven, is because you have the good parts of my life. Mm-hmm. And I was just like,
so deep.
That episode 5, I was just like,
woo! For anybody that gave up on the show before that episode,
that was
like
deep.
I like that, like already, like again, episode 1 was my favorite up until episode 3. And then it kind of got turned around for me. I was like, okay, episode 3 is the best. Episode 1, and then episode 2. And then episode 4 came out. And then you're like, okay, episode 4 is even better. But episode 5, they really, really, like, in a way that you're almost expecting them to, like, really put all the cards out on the table. Here's what happens. Here's why X, Y, Z. But the way that they really laid it out, you really got the most... it's the deepest that you come to know of Mark Spector. Like, everything that had been missing before then finally is revealed to you, and you're like, okay, you're getting his religious background, you're getting his family life, you're getting all of the problems that he had,
all the points of trauma for him,
every single point of trauma. And then like like even by this point, you know, like, oh, Stephen Grant is a fictional character, right? You already know that by episode 5.
Yeah.
But when they finally really deliver it to you and why, like, I don't know about you, like, I felt like I got hit with an emotional bat. I started crying so hard.
What really like
'Cause it's so sad. It's so
and
sad.
it doesn't hit home for me, but what really like kind of like was jarring to me, because I never thought, I don't think I've ever seen it in like an MCU show, was the touch of like abuse.
Yeah.
From his mom.
Yeah.
And like the way that they depicted it, I was just like, this is like
right.
devastating.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like,
and yeah,
I was just like,
I don't,
oh my God.
like, thinking about all the characters right off the top of my head. No,
yeah.
And
like,
we said this again, I think we said this in another episode too, where I mentioned that Hank Pym in the books is not a good man.
Yeah.
Like, he was very abusive to his family. So to really see them take it on without showing it necessarily, that's a huge step for them.
I think what I liked about like that sequence was just like I didn't know what side to choose. I was like am I on Mark's side for like no, Steven, you don't want to go in there, like it's probably you don't want to see it, or am I on Steven's side of like, no, he deserves to see it. Like, I need to know like what you're putting me through. Like, I can't do this anymore. And so it's like, were they both right or wrong in like what they were trying to do? Like, sure, maybe, but that it was
all these components of like the human mind and how he's ultimately trying to protect himself at the end of it all.
It reminds me of like that scene in Inception. I don't know if you've seen Inception. I don't know. So it's like dream within a dream type of thing.
Yeah.
And then Leonardo DiCaprio, like his certain dreams, like there's certain memories trapped that he doesn't want anybody to see, or else, because like his dead wife, the thought of his dead wife is trapped in those dreams, but she's toxic, and so anyone that enters his dreams, like she just tries to kill him off, and like he never tells anybody though. But then there's this one person that's like really like what's wrong with you? Like, why are you the way you are? And she so it reminded me of like
spoiler alert.
Yeah. It's 12 years ago.
I know. Has it been 12 years?
It came out in 2010.
I've been meaning to watch this film for 12 years.
It came out in 2010.
Whoops.
I know that because
my bad.
Yeah, that's the movie that got me into filmmaking.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I better watch Tenet sooner than later then, because that's my other one that I'm like, no, I gotta watch it.
I mean, you don't need to watch one to see the other, but like
no, for sure.
But you do need to pay attention.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it reminded me of like that, where it's just like is someone like, do you tell everyone everything, like to reveal like this is why I am who I am,
right?
Because some people are like, this is why I am who I am, and then there's also some people who are just like, you don't need to know that part of me, just know that I'm not that person anymore.
Right.
So it's just like, I don't know. You don't know who to like agree with.
Right. Yeah. And then, of course, we haven't even seen him really yet, but Jake.
I know. People are kind of like 50-50 of like, where is he? Like, how come he's not like more prominent throughout the show? And
I think they mentioned this in the assembled, is that, like they didn't quite anticipate to even show him, or they really did shuffle the personas a bit.
Yes.
Like I think they meant to show a bit more Jake and less Steven, but then the more that they wrote, they realized Steven was really going to be at the forefront and Mark was going to kind of be in the middle, and then Jake was really going to be in last.
Imagine trying to write 6 episodes for 3 different characters.
Yeah, exactly.
And try to make the whole the story as a whole makes sense.
Right.
So I'm kind of glad that they only focused on 2.
Right.
And then, you reveal a 3rd one, boom, at the end, tease it.
And even then, like when they started going into the psychiatric ward.
Yes.
Like parts of Mark's mind.
Mm-hmm.
And they show the 3rd sarcophagus, and it's just rumbling
Yeah.
like with anger. I was like, okay. And it was like that tweet from was it Brooklyn Nine-Nine? Where it's just like chick.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
dude. But when they didn't open it, I thought, we're not gonna get him this season. Like, we're not gonna get him.
Mm-hmm.
But they surprised us, obviously. So I'm very curious how that's gonna pan out.
Just teasing him for a second season, you know?
Right. And also it's just very interesting because if you pay attention to what Khonshu says, you know, he's like, all right, if you do this, I will release you too. And it's like, oh, you clever boy.
Yeah, and then
you too.
And then he was like telling Ethan Hawke's characters like his wife isn't even who I want.
Right.
Like who I want to make my avatar. It's
right.
Jake
It's
Lockley.
Jake.
And you're like, okay, so where are these other guys? Like, where's
Yeah.
Mark and Steven?
Yeah, right. So he just boots them out, and then he's like, no, I'm still clinging on to Jake.
Yeah. So interested to see
so
like how
good.
all three of them
Yeah.
either interact or do they get meshed at like
Right.
Oscar
Well,
Isaac's in for a
Yeah, because you know, like I feel like the sustaining relationship in this first season has been like, okay, Steven dealing with Mark and Khonshu. Then it changes to Steven and Mark dealing with Khonshu. And
Yes.
so the next season is now going to be Steven and Mark versus Khonshu and Jake.
that would be
So that's gonna be a bit intense. I
it's
think.
like where's the end all be all for this, you know?
Right. Well, I think it'll be quite similar to, you know, like those beautiful panels by Greg Smallwood, you know, like
We don't need you.
We
and
don't
yes.
need you.
Yes.
so
yes.
that's what I feel like it's gonna ultimately come down to is that, okay, then they're gonna embrace and understand the Jake persona and the alter that is Jake. And then it turns into truly the trio of
They're
Mark,
gonna-
Steven, and
and then they join the Avengers.
or the Midnight Suns.
Yeah.
Or they become besties with Dane Whitman. I don't know.
He's gonna be in
Whatever.
the Eternal sequel for
Right?
I don't know. I'm just
I need to know where these people come back
I
because
just-
we're all like across the board. We're just like, wait, where do they come back? Where do they come back? And Moon Knight season 2 isn't even confirmed yet. So
I know. Who knows?
Exactly. But I mean, speaking of Ethan Hawke, so I mean, we kind of that's it for Harrow. Harrow's done.
I would assume
Denzel.
so.
But what did you think about his portrayal?
I think he's menacing in such a non-threatening way.
Yeah.
You're like, how is this guy? You know, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's Ethan Hawke. He's a
Ethan Hawke, that is his MO. Like truly.
if you can get an actor like Ethan Hawke and Oscar Isaac to be all in
Yeah.
in a project, especially with, you know, because of MCU, like how they have grown over the years and become this like machine of
Yeah.
movies and shows and characters and everything. If you get them to go all in and invested in a character, a project, I think, you know, you got a home run.
Yeah. I
So,
agree.
and he took it.
Yeah.
Like Ethan Hawke, like killed it, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Moon Knight, I think, you know, for his first time on screen, just killed it, you know, introduced the suit looks kick ass.
Yeah.
Especially if you watch the assembled episode, like the details that went into that suit.
Oh, yeah.
And just, you know, and
To
making
Mr. Knight?
What happened?
Or Moon Knight itself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just seeing the detail that went into it, I don't know, just to make it like just look cool on screen, because
Yeah.
obviously in the comics you can do so much more. You can get as animated as you can,
Right.
But then trying to put it in a show and like make it like in today's modern and make it make sense to where it's not like it looks cheesy or corny.
Right. Well, they even said in the assembled something that is very similar to what we talked about, in that, like, how do you take a full white comic book character and then give him texture and give him some depth? And they did an incredible job doing that while paying homage to Egyptology and
Yes.
you know that whole historical aspect of it, down to Mr. Knight's shoes and how the director was like,
Yes,
let's
yeah.
pay tribute to mummies and the wrappings and stuff, and
Yeah.
again, like even the hieroglyphics in Moon Knight's garb, it's like
Yeah, I mean they
it's
had
so cool.
Yeah, they had an Egyptologist on set, and
Right.
it's just, and they really tried to like do things right,
Right.
and you just got to appreciate that. They made Egypt, especially like because usually in movies they make Egypt seem like it's just one big desert.
Right. Yeah, they
When there
mentioned
are
that.
parts of the desert, and like the director said, but there's also a city
Right.
next to the pyramids. You know,
Yeah.
it's not just all
Yeah.
desert. Like
Yeah.
there's like a full on like nice like modern city going on. So
Right.
love that.
Yeah.
I think they
And
I
they
think
filmed in Budapest, no?
Yeah.
Which
Budapest.
is go Budapest. Budapest. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting, and yeah, if you haven't yet, you just got to watch that assembled. I mean, the series itself, even if you're not into like Eternals and Hawkeye, like you should just watch them because they're just very very insightful and very informative into what goes into building a series as such.
Or a movie.
Or a
yeah. Like,
movie,
Watching
yeah.
the assembled, like if you still come out of that after you watch it, still sit and not appreciate like who has worked on the movie, then it's
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you just like hating on things, but like you have such a greater appreciation for like the creators and
Yeah.
like the story and the people working on this film, because things like this aren't crafted in like 1, 2, 3 months. You know, these
Right.
are year-long projects,
Right.
and to see the amount of work and detail that goes into it is kind of amazing to see. And to discredit all the artists and hardworking
Mm-hmm.
people that work on these shows and movies is
Mm-hmm.
kind of like
Yeah.
super disrespectful. But
So what did you think about how they used an actual, like not a mocap actor, but a motion actor for Khonshu, for instance?
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, so they actually dress the actor or this individual so that they can do the light testing and do the referencing.
I think that's super cool because I always like if you can do something on set that helps the actors, I think whatever helps them best act. So like when they had that actor and then they had like his eye line set up higher than
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And I think that really helps, and it really builds like the environment that you're trying to build.
Yeah, even with Taweret and the Egyptian god.
I said this off mic, but oh my god, the actress who plays Taweret is so, I don't know, just so sweet and so
love her
like
so much.
like I can't even recreate like her voice.
Yeah.
But oh my god, seeing her play as Taweret and
Yeah.
like with her hand motions and everything, I was just like, oh my gosh, like you are the most adorable human being.
She's so lovely. Antonia Salib.
nice. Yes.
Yeah, she was both a voice and motion capture performance for Taweret, and like I have nothing else to say because I think she's
No.
absolutely and like I need her somewhere else. Like if that's all she's gonna do, I need her in front of the camera somehow.
Yes.
As another character because she's
100%.
just so sensational.
Yeah.
And so lovable too.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I just loved, and again, like being a kid that was so into Egyptology and really loving the culture and how like the gods are perceived and the tales that have like stemmed from that historical background.
Yeah.
To see them like in quote unquote living form, like the coolest thing to me. I loved every second of it, even seeing Ahmet and like what was a very like Godzilla-esque
I know.
kaiju battle
Yeah.
with Khonshu.
That was cool though. Like
Yeah.
you haven't really seen that much
Yeah.
like that in the MCU.
No, I mean aside like Ant-Man, but even
Sure.
then, but nothing to that level.
But because of this lore.
Yeah,
It's
it
like,
just it
ah.
clicked and it's so perfect and I just think that they really hit the mark with new things that they haven't quite taken on or just not enough of in the MCU through this series.
Yeah.
So there's just so much to love about it.
And speaking of Tawet, the Scarlet Scarab.
Scarlet Scarab, yeah. She was next.
She's amazing. What's the full at May
Kalamawi. Yeah.
Kills it.
So good. Like, where did they find her? Where did they find both of them? Because I think they're both sensational.
Her costume as
as
the avatar of Tawet.
I got emotional, dude. Full on emotional. I was like, because with this character, especially because it is a gender bent character, another one of those, like in the comics.
Yes, because
it's a gender bent.
Yes.
It's another character entirely, and so. And Layla, not Layla's gender bent, but that Layla is an amalgamation of other characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's somewhat original, and then they're also melding her to an existing character that was a male character in the comic books to kind of bring in this very new, very fresh, very original-esque character. Seeing her on screen and the way that they really empowered her, oh my gosh! Like. I absolutely love the treatment with it and with her and like I said this on Twitter, but like the line when she's fighting in the courtyard and the young woman is like, "You're an Egyptian superhero?" And she's like, "Yeah."
And I'm like, I was like, that's awesome. That's awesome to see.
It's so necessary.
Yeah.
It's so simple, but it's so necessary. But yeah, to see May or Layla take on this really awesome altar that is Taweret in that form, I thought it was just so cool.
Her sword wings.
Yeah. Oh, it's so awesome. The entire aesthetic is awesome, and she's just like she's just perfectly powerful in everything that she was doing in that suit. And also, I feel like it wasn't even like she was suddenly powerful. It's like you can tell she's obviously powered by the Egyptian god, right? But yeah, she herself, Layla as an individual, is such a force that it just doubled her power. And I love that.
I hope, we see more of her and Moon Knight together.
Love her. Yeah.
Give us season 2, cowards.
Do it.
Announce it.
Announce it now.
You announced Loki right after the finale.
I know.
That's the only one that's been announced this season 2.
But see, here's the thing. I wonder then if they're not immediately announcing a season 2, could that mean there's a film exploration instead? Maybe. Like, do you think would that make sense to you?
I think that's also a possibility, but I guess it's just like it's got to be so tough for them, like as a job, first of all, like releasing these new characters, these new shows, like doing these explorations of these, especially these deeper explorations, either of existing characters and or new characters, and like and then they're huge hits, and it's like, but 3, 4, 5 years down the line, you have things planned out already.
Exactly.
So you're kind of like, yeah, like where do we like Doctor Strange came out in 2017.
Yep.
The sequel came out 2022.
Yeah, 5 years.
It's 5 years later.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Do you think they plan for failure? Like if something doesn't, if it just doesn't work, do you think they just go, okay, plan B.
I want to say yes, but there also has to be some like, they also have to have a feeling of just like, like they have humility and they're, but there also has to be like, look, we are Marvel Studios. Yeah. Anything we release, as long as we know like we are creatively fulfilled by it, it'll work. Yeah. Type of thing. As long as we tell the right story, bring in the right people, cast the right people, which they haven't missed on, for being completely honest. Yeah. Seraphin's the GOAT. I said that in episode 1.
We stand.
Sarah Finn is the GOAT. Yeah. As long as I think they said this in multiple interviews. Kevin Feige said this in multiple interviews. As long as we're able to tell a great story, we're gonna push it out. You know,
Right.
if there's humanity in it, if there's reason for it, like yeah.
Right.
But it's tough, especially if you have to plan like the next 10 years of Marvel Studios, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's like where do you balance the line of, okay, let's keep telling the story that we've told, and then also, there's also this character we haven't seen yet. Let's try to bring this,
Right.
things probably go into development, but they fall through, or there's something, and they're like, oh, this is interesting, and we can attach this actor to, and then
Yeah.
that'll go through.
Right.
So it's like, it's tough.
Yeah.
Like it's tough.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, is that a good place to segue into Doctor Strange? Maybe.
It might be, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, like sequels and Doctor Strange, yeah. And existing character stories from a TV show into a movie.
Into a movie, yeah. Well, okay, first and foremost, I want to ask you, because listener Billy asked me this,
Yes.
and he has not seen the film yet. So
Props to him.
I know.
Respect.
And hasn't been completely spoiled on it. Believe it or not. I was like, wow.
I refuse to believe that, but honestly, that's awesome.
Yeah, the mid credits not spoiled to him. No, has
So
no
how
idea.
does he avoid?
No idea.
Okay.
He's just not really on social.
I
as much.
respect it.
Yeah.
I respect it.
But he did ask a good question in that he was like, do you have to have seen everything that has come out from the MCU, including the shows?
The age-old question. That's an age-old question, and I think that's all. I think that's also, that question alone is why people have a problem with watching Marvel movies.
Right.
And it's totally valid. I
Yeah.
get it. Like, why the hell would I watch 20 plus movies to watch this one movie?
Right.
And it's like, truth is, well, first of all, you don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah.
It's just, if you watch it and you have questions, you're going to go down a rabbit hole if you want answers,
Right.
Yeah. And that's fine,
Yeah.
Maybe
And-
that's how people get into it.
And truthfully, I said to him, no, I don't think so. I think you could get away with, as long as you're familiar with Doctor Strange, the first film, as long as you're familiar with WandaVision,
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
and maybe a touch of What If, you're fine.
Maybe a touch.
Just a touch.
Oh, I think
And
if you watch What If, that's just like a cherry on top type of thing.
exactly. I said like, What If isn't necessarily linked, but you'll get some neat little Easter eggs.
Yeah, you'll be like,
if you're familiar.
you'll do that Leonardo DiCaprio. There it is. Yeah.
Or the age-old Cap. I understood that reference.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was pretty interesting, especially because, there's probably some folks out there who haven't seen it yet, or even listeners, but yeah, you don't have to have watched every single thing.
You don't have to watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I had a conversation with somebody. I
Right.
think probably an old coworker about
Right.
the MCU because they know how obsessed I am.
Yeah.
They're like, do I really have to? I was like, no, you don't have to.
No.
Like if you just want. And they're like, he's like, okay, well, what film should I watch that are just like a good film, like in the MCU? I was like, oh, you want a great film of just filmmaking and storytelling? Watch Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
There you go. Period.
Like that's just it's great storytelling,
Yeah.
it's great filmmaking, and like but if you don't wanna watch the other movies, you don't have to.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
So with Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, you know what I thought was interesting? After answering the question the way I did with him, I started to think about it, and I'm like, you know what? It's very interesting what kind of route that the multiverse factor of it has really had. Like, you think about it and how it affected Loki, and it affected kind of, sort of, WandaVision and Spider-Man, and now Doctor Strange, and kind of Morbius, if you want to include it.
Morbius.
Yeah, even though it's not necessarily canon. It doesn't play out anywhere. Like, they have it appears in all of these films or in these series.
Yeah.
But where you kind of expect them to quote unquote address it, they don't talk about any of that. It's more focused on Strange traveling to multiverses rather than the effects of
multiverse travel.
The rip. They don't talk about any of it.
They didn't touch on that. Yeah.
They don't touch it. So I wondered, does it really bear any importance on this film, let alone the MCU? Or is that something we're going to see in Loki again? Like,
I mean, I don't know if I said this on
or
a previous...
Ant-Man. I guess it's Ant-Man
Quantum
is next.
That's not even, I mean, that's multiverse, but it's also just like a different form of the quantum realm and everything.
Quantum realm, yeah.
And I don't know if I said this in another previous episode, just like now that they're introducing, maybe it's like when we're talking about Multiverse of Madness, or I'm sorry, Spider-Man No Way Home, like now that we're introducing like multiverses, or I said this in Loki, now that we're introducing multiverses, storytelling is going to get a little finicky.
Yeah.
Maybe, like plot holes are pretty much just like adamant. It's going to happen. Like if you think you can explain everything
Yeah.
like without leaving any loose ends,
Yeah.
you got another thing coming.
Right.
But I think that like I said, that's like the downside of like having such a big, like saga of films. You think everything's going to be connected, you think everything in the MCU is connected, and it's just like, well, this happened in Ant-Man, so wait, what about like this? So like, oh, what about in Endgame when this happened? But then is that just not going to affect anything that happens in the future? And you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. Did they tell the story, and did that character grow in the right way? Then I don't kind of care about implications, but
Right.
maybe that's just me.
Right.
I'm just I just enjoy movies.
Yeah. As one should. Yeah, so I think it's a kind of like a misconception of the film, like, and that's what I think leads to the, do I have to see everything else?
Yeah.
Because, like, and I think I don't remember who said this, if it was Feige himself or somebody else, but that's kind of like the unfortunate expectation with threading like phases 1 through 3 together so well that you almost feel like you have to see them all, but you don't necessarily. And I think they're kind of trying to break away from that. And so Multiverse of Madness is interesting in that you almost expect to, because, oh, it's multiverse and you have to watch all the things because they're all talking about multiverse, but really you kind of don't. But in more, in another aspect of the film, we're meeting new characters such as America Chavez. And so how do you feel about Xochitl Gomez?
Xochitl Gomez,
Yeah.
first of all, she's amazing on TikTok.
She's really good.
Dude,
Really,
TikTok
really
stopped
good.
banning her. She doesn't deserve to get banned.
Did she get
She's
banned?
getting banned for some reason. If you go to her TikTok,
Really?
go to her comments.
Yeah.
There's no one in her comments. Like she limits access to it.
Wow.
Like, so it's basically just like her talking to herself in the comments.
Oh.
I don't know why she's getting banned for some reason.
Weird.
But like, and she's posting all these behind the scenes stuff on set.
Yeah.
Like she literally has like a clip with like her and Kevin Feige, her like running on set. Like she's great.
Yeah.
I thought she's 16. I mean, she was 14 when she was filming this.
Yeah. I was reading today that ultimately they had decided to go with a younger America Chavez because of her age, and they felt she fit the character so well that they decided, you know what? We're going to de-age her a bit. She's not going to be 18 after all. We're going to bring her down a bit.
She's going to grow up.
She's going to grow up on screen. But yeah, I think she did a fantastic job. It was neat to see so many comic book elements laced into the cinematic version of her, which is like something I didn't really readily expect, especially the star-shaped portals. I just thought
That's so sick.
Like, it's so specific to the comic books.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't know if they're gonna do it.
But how
And
are they
then, like,
gonna
the
make-
minute they did it, I was like, oh, they did it.
I was like, oh, it's a star, but like it's
It's
not
a
like
star-shaped
it's not
portal.
like cheesy though.
Yeah.
Like it's like
And the sound effects and the way that they
yeah.
gave depth to it, I thought was really, really great. They really executed it well. In
Honestly,
a way.
I want her denim jacket, man.
Well, they have it. You can buy it at Disneyland.
But
it's
it's
made for
women.
kids.
It's for kids?
It's for kids. But I'm pretty sure they have an adult size. And I'm pretty sure it's
Dude, it's
unisex. Yeah.
It's a sick jacket.
Yeah, it's cool. You can always make your own.
True, but I'm not that crafty.
Effort.
I think my favorite part about America Chavez is because in this movie you're exploring all these different versions of characters throughout the multiverse. I love that she's the only one of her kind.
Yeah.
There's no other variant of her.
Completely
There's no
unique.
other version of her,
Yeah.
which is such an interesting like story arc, character arc, because in the vast multiverse, she is alone.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like insane and crazy because like she said in the movie, she's like, I tried. I couldn't find anyone. There's no one like me. And I was just like, that's depressing, but also like uplifting because like there's only one of me.
Yeah.
But her powers are like, but I get it. Her powers are one of a kind. If you had multiple people who can travel the vast multiverses, that's dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the whole like Kane the Conqueror type of thing, you know?
Right.
Like if there's multiple, spoiler alert.
The exchange of looks that we just had. I was like,
so I love that there's only one of her and she's the only person that can traverse the multiverses. Say that 10 times.
definitely couldn't do it right now.
Yeah. And so that means that she has to play a pivotal character going forward in the MCU.
Yeah.
Like if you're the only person that can travel the different multiverses and basically only Stephen Strange knows, you know? So it's like, how is she going to play out throughout, you know?
Right.
Like, is she going to come out in Secret Invasion? Like, is she going to help is she part of the Young Avengers? Is she like, how can she help the grounded heroes? Like, what's
her deal, right?
Crazy.
And so, I mean, obviously, spoiler alert, but so now she's in Kamatage.
She's about to be a sorcerer too. Like,
Sorcerer.
damn,
Yeah.
like, I can travel the multiverse,
Right.
but I could also make portals and slings and whatever.
Yeah, that's so cool. And then, of course, we're reintroduced to your wifey.
I love her
You like her scary,
with
huh?
all all her rage.
I mean,
I love it.
yeah.
I love it.
So let's get talking about Wanda. Where should we even start with Wanda?
Well, I love that. Okay, well, one, I want to get some criticism out the way. People people hate it, but some people I saw that were like, why is she a villain? I'm like, do you not see the person she became at the end of the show?
Yeah,
like
she literally says it.
Maybe I am.
Yeah. with what Monica said, she said,
Yeah.
like, Wanda, don't do this. You don't want to become the villain, or
Maybe I already am.
maybe I already am.
And I was like, oh yes, you are. That's okay. I can change you.
You didn't. Oh my god.
Oh god.
Ah.
But it's also just like, if you know someone's getting a hold of the dark hold, like it's kind of inevitable.
For sure.
Inevitable that someone's
Right.
gonna turn to the dark side at some point.
But yeah, I also think that, you know, like, if you do follow her path throughout the cinematic universe, you know, I mean, she started out on the wrong side of the law, if you will. You know,
Sure.
she was already kind of rooted in, you know, it was misguided, but she was a bad guy, and then she became a good guy.
Yeah.
And then she realized, her potential, to the point where she realized, she knows how powerful she is.
She's also never had a happy ending.
Right, exactly.
That can only drive you so far.
Very true, yeah. And I think that's the realistic part of it. It's kind of like, to expect her to still have come out as the hero on top of it all, I think is unrealistic beyond everything else that is the fictional aspects of it. You know what I mean?
I think the stakes of the movie also, they made sense. I know a lot of people were very critical about like the stakes of Multiverse of Madness, just because it's like, like Multiverse of Madness, there's no real stakes. There's no like all in, be all, end all, be all type of like catastrophe, like a Thanos or I don't know,
King.
a world or a world ending thing. It's like, it's basically just Doctor Strange fighting Wanda, and it's like, well, yeah, Like that's a pretty high stake, because what Wanda wants also is, one, she wants her kids. And what does she need to do to get to her kids? Is kill a child.
I know. It's oh my God.
Kill a child who's one of a kind, and it's the only one that can travel multiverse. That's a world-ending stake.
Yeah.
If the Scarlet Witch gets the powers to traverse the vast multiverses, you can't trust that she's only gonna go to a universe where she, and she's gonna enjoy her life with her kids.
Right.
You don't trust that.
No way.
I wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't even trust myself if I had, and I'm a good person sometimes, and I wouldn't trust myself to travel, to have the power of like, ooh, I can go to this universe.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's like, if something goes wrong in that universe for her, she's just gonna go to another one and she's gonna kill all the different Wandas.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
dangerous.
do you think ultimately the Darkhold was trying to assume the power of America Chavez like that, to do that bidding? Or do you think it was really just the corruption of Wanda and trying to be with her children?
Dang, I didn't even think about like the Darkhold playing a thing in it,
because I almost feel like it's its own entity in many ways, right?
But we never really got that much kind of like, I guess, background lore. We only know the information like what was needed. Like the Darkhold is obviously a dark book. It uses dark magic.
Right.
It's never a good thing. That's why it's like, it's the book of the damned, and like that's it. You never, and then whoever reads it obviously is very corrupt.
Yeah.
And obviously it has the Scarlet Witch page like on it, so she's made to destroy everything. But I don't know, maybe half and half. Yeah. Because Wanda really, really just wanted to be with her kids. Yeah. And I think that's valid. Like people said, like, well, what about Vision? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, did they leave that part of the story out? Cool. Yeah, but
they also spent like 8 episodes, 8 hours worth of Vision content with WandaVision.
Yeah.
So I kind of get it.
And Vision left and is doing his own thing. Like he didn't even tell like Wanda, like, I'm out. Like, but I also inherited all of your the memories, your makeshift Vision's memories. So it's like, it's fine. That's a story for. I just want people to understand that you don't have to tie up every loose end in every single piece of film. Yeah. Or whatever and media.
And further let that be the determinant that like makes it fall apart. Yeah. Because I feel like
I don't get it.
A lot of people were like, well, she barely even talked about Vision. And it's like, okay, but don't let that necessarily take away from the larger picture of it, which is ultimately the Darkhold and messing with Wanda being the Scarlet Witch. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think other people understand like how just crazy the Scarlet Witch is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I hope she comes back. I don't know in what aspect. She's not dead, okay?
That's a tough one.
She can't die. She's literally made of magic.
So do you think that 616 still exists? That's
616 Wanda?
Yes. That's the question for you.
I want to say yes, but I think my only gripe would be, what story left does she have to tell after the events of Multiverse of Madness?
Vision is the most...
Exactly. So how they weave that back in, I wouldn't know, since Wanda's been on such of a roller coaster of a story arc, starting with, being an experiment, Baron von Strucker, and
von Strucker,
and absorbing the powers of the mind, getting her powers from the Mind Stone, and then she learns how to use her powers in a way, and then she becomes an Avenger. She loses Vision twice, 3 times. And she lost her brother, and it's like she's never. It's been a roller coaster of just despair and grief for her, And when she became the Scarlet Witch, it was the first time she felt like she really had power and that she can make her own decisions and make her own reality, which, in retrospect, she can. Yeah. And so you see that kind of that happen in Multiverse of Madness, and you just realize, and she realizes at the end that. like when she saw her boys and when she traveled through that multiverse, she was just so Lizzie, oh my god, she was in such a panic when she was just like, boys, and I was just like, I was like, oh my god, like, and then when the boys were like throwing stuff at her and she was just like, and she was just
she
like,
loses it.
I was like, oh, this is not gonna work out for her at all.
And that's the incredible part, because they kind of like foreshadow that beforehand, you know, when Strange or Wong says to her, like, well, what happens to the mother of that universe? Like, what happens to their mom? And she doesn't even have the foresight to answer it properly. She's just like so focused on, well, my boys. And it's like, well, they're not your boys. They really aren't. They're that Wanda's boys. So to then see, you know, the effects of when America brings her to that point so cleverly.
Ooh, the way that she says it too, the way that America says like, I'm giving you what you want. I was like, yes.
Yeah. And of course, like the immediate thought is that she's giving her the power, but it's like, no, she's giving her the boys. And so to put her and place her into that alternate universe, and then the boys completely rejecting her. It's like, oh my gosh. And it's a full-fledged nightmare, especially for Wanda, or at least the Scarlet Witch Wanda, because they were not having it. They're like, she's a scary witch. And you're like, mommy, I want mommy.
Oh my god. I was like, yes.
But you know what I, you know, as kitschy as the film could be in its aspects, because it does have that, you know, and I said this in the Spider-Man episode, it does have certain flavors that are very specific to Sam Raimi when it comes to horror. There are some parts where you're just like, you're not sure if you're supposed to laugh or not, like when she's getting the toys thrown at her. But the moments that she says particular lines and some of her deliveries are truly horrifying. My sister was like, she hasn't seen it. She's, you know, a little slow on the uptake, but she likes Doctor Strange a lot. And so she was like, you've seen the new Doctor Strange, right? And I was like, yeah, I've seen it. And she goes, how is it? Is it good? And I said, it's great. It's just a little scary. Like, that's how I have to serve it to someone like my sister who isn't well versed in this thing. Because I'm like, it is actually quite scary. And Lizzie is 98% of why it's scary. And so in that scene, and when she, like, you can see it in her eyes.
Dude.
And also I understand more than ever because, you know, like I was kind of part of the I was kind of part of the crew that was like, why is her hair so light? Why are they changing these cosmetic aesthetics about her? But when you see the contrast of how crazy she's supposed to come off and look compared to the regular Wanda who has the dark hair still, you're like, oh, okay. They really do. Like, you don't even realize they're doing it to you until you see them together. That they're bringing these contrasts to her on the surface level. Yeah. That really do cater to a scarier version of her. Whereas you don't notice
eyeliner,
it. Yeah.
Her black eyeliner, the black fingers,
and the red that's just developing around her eyes.
Jesus, she's scary, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
But also one of my favorite moments in the film is when she approaches herself and puts the hand on her cheek.
Oh God.
And she just like melts into herself.
Because she knows she'll never have what that Wanda has.
Right. And it's like the acceptance of like this version is not yours.
Like sorry.
It's sorry.
And that was her realization. Like I can't do this.
Right.
Like I can't be doing this.
Right. And the line that everyone seems to not hear because it's difficult to hear in the theater, but that Wanda of that world, of that universe says, know that they'll be loved, which is the name of the score, which it's the name of the song. So, you know,
Pain.
Composed by Danny Elfman, of course. Pain. And so, I love all these really random, but meaningful nuances that are Lizzie's performance throughout the film.
Yes.
I think she did a fantastic job being evil, quote unquote, and the villain, quote unquote, who's simply misguided by her power and her desire to to have a happy ending.
Yeah.
Which is really sad.
Yeah, and who knows when we'll see her next.
I know. That's why I'm like,
yeah, and before we get to Doctor Strange's arc and like throughout the movie,
yeah.
I want to talk quickly about the Illuminati.
Let's go.
And just first of all, just the sheer amount of star power that was shown in that 5-minute maybe
So
sequence.
where should we start? So of course we have Mordo, which is like
Mordo, yes, Universe 838.
mm-hmm.
Characters, Mordo. That universe went through some hell then, man. Like,
yeah.
if you think about it,
They went through some difficult
that
times.
flashback of them like killing Thanos and then like their universe is strange.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like dark.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But let's just quickly touch on all of them. Black Bolt.
I tell you, dude, I legitimately, I saw the film at a critic screening with our friend Stephen Ray Morris, and I kid you not, the minute I saw him sitting on that throne, I said to myself, holy Toledo, is that Anson Mount? And I did not expect anybody else to understand what I was saying because again, Inhumans was not exactly the most successful show.
I didn't even watch it.
Right. And also because the stark contrast, if you will, difference between Black Bolt on that show versus the film, he's in full comic accurate garb.
Yeah, I saw the comparisons. I was like,
yeah.
yo, like if there's like a top like 5 like suit upgrades,
100%.
he got the most comic accurate suit.
Yeah.
And like it looks so nice and
It was
real,
great.
like compared to the Inhumans one where
Right.
I watched like clips and everything. I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, no, they tried to take those liberties of realism, like, and not that Inhumans was even that long ago, but it still felt like they were still trying to do the X-Men way, right?
Of course.
Like where it's like muted and downplayed and realistic, but that's not what anybody wants. Everybody wants the little
bolt.
tuner folk.
Or the whatever, yeah.
And the cowl with the little flappy things under his arms. Like everybody wants that. And so before I even saw the rest of it, I was like, oh my God, it's the original actor. Which that in itself is a gigantic play.
Oh man.
It's a Deadpool.
I sent it to you.
Yeah,
like
it's a Deadpool part 2.
Like his tweet, like he was just like, I did not expect the call from Kevin Feige
So
to come
cool.
play this character again.
Yeah.
But I did.
I love that kind of redemption for an actor. Yeah. Like Ryan Reynolds and getting a chance to play the character, but properly.
Yeah.
Even if it's a different version of him that meets an unfortunate fate by himself.
But
at his own hands.
It's great to like, even if we probably don't see him at all anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, just seeing him in that aspect.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Made up for it 100%. But yeah, so same actor, great suit.
And then Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, Maria Rambeau. That was unexpected for me, but also clearly needed. Like I thought that was fantastic to actually show her as Captain Marvel versus Carol.
And/or Monica, I guess too.
Monica,
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we'll get Monica.
I mean, yeah, for sure. But like, having like Maria in her Captain Marvel suit, and it's sick. It's like silver.
Yeah.
And you see like the orange cosm, and like, oh man, that's so dope.
So dope.
I'm glad that she was able to kind of play that role. Even if we never see her version of Captain Marvel. I thought she did great.
Yeah.
It was just fun to see, like seeing that collection, seeing her amongst the collection of already amazing characters
and familiar faces too. Of course, the actress Lashana Lynch, who to be honest, I don't talk about Captain Marvel very much, but as a film, but she truly was my favorite part of that film.
Captain
to be
Marvel.
honest. Yeah, I really did think that she was the heart of that film that I don't think Carol could have survived without. So yeah, I really do love her.
Yeah. Hope we see more of her.
I know. I like her a lot.
And then next, the one, the only, Captain Carter.
Captain Carter.
I
will say, she was the one that I told you when you had come over that one time. I was like, I think I saw something on Twitter, but I scrolled by so quickly that I was like, don't think about it. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. But my mind is like, it acts as a, like, you know, like it's, I remember it whether or not I want to. So I had seen the part where she's getting blasted by Wanda and she skids with the rockets on her back. And so I was like, the Captain Carter's in the movie. But I also tried to be like, no.
Yeah.
Like, don't think about it.
I will say, I usually love Marvel's marketing and how they like tease things.
Yeah.
Very surprised they teased a couple of those Illuminati members.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, I'm probably sure a lot of people would agree with this. I feel like if they hid that, if they didn't mention anything, maybe if they just mentioned Illuminati and then like Mordo in those trailers and that was it.
Yeah.
And then like you see in the movie when it's released that we see these characters, I think it would have hit a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Even now I'm still kind of curious why they did that.
Kevin Feige said something too on the red carpet for the premiere. He's always saying like, I think we revealed a little too much, but I don't know how much.
Whose call was that?
Yeah, like but if they had hid everything that was Illuminati, I think the movie would have hit so much harder.
100%.
In my opinion, I think it still does because of the sheer just like what you're seeing on screen in its context.
Yeah,
that alone is just like, what the, like crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Captain Carter, like I said, like in What If? And you're like, and then you see it in live action. You're like,
yeah. Because I remember when we were even talking about What If, I was like, if I could just see Captain Carter fighting once in real life, like Haley Atwell, that would make my life. And then it's like 6 months later.
So they've had that in the bag for a long time. Then they have had to
for quite a while because this film in its entirety was delayed quite a few times.
It was. This would come out before Spider-Man.
Yeah, and they were filming cameos up until I believe February.
Maybe that whole sequence was one of them.
It honestly could have been,
yeah.
And so, but to see Captain Carter on screen like that, I was just like, oh, so good.
And seeing Haley Atwell,
yes,
in that context of the character too, because you're so used to seeing her as just Agent Carter.
Yeah,
very just like to the ground.
Yeah.
And since her to like use the shield and then say Cap's line,
I know.
Oh, I can do this all day. And I was just like, oh yeah. There it is. There's the kicker.
With the shield. Everything.
Only to get cut in half by it. And then
oh, so sad. Oh, I can't.
I don't know. I told you, I was like, I like that they all died in that universe. I like that.
Yeah.
I like because it shows that like heroes die.
Yeah, they do.
It's okay.
Sadly.
That's not the MC universe anyways.
Right. Exactly. It's not the prime Earth.
But yeah,
616.
I love Haley Atwell. I love her as Agent Carter. I love her. I love that she played Captain Carter in live action. It makes you like, that's the good and bad things about like these cameos in MCU. You're like, I want to see more of that, but that there's a small chance that you probably won't.
Yeah.
So you just have to like comes to grips with that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And then the second to last one that I want to talk about, because the last one I want to talk about is the more prominent one, but Reed Richards.
Oh my God. You should have heard the noise that came out of me the first time. Because again, like I was so pure aside the final one we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
I was so pure about it. I didn't even really like, because I was still skeptical about the last one, right? I was like, nah, I don't know.
No,
and then,
I knew.
I knew. But him to have him be exactly who everybody wanted him to be.
Yeah.
Oh,
He was trending.
my.
His name was trending on Twitter
Was it
2
really?
days before the premiere.
Oh, was it? I didn't know that.
That's how I like. That's how I
Oh.
put things together. I was like, there's
Right.
only one reason
Right.
why John Krasinski is trending on Twitter. Because one, he doesn't even use Twitter like that.
Oh,
And
right.
two, he's barely on social media.
Yeah. I kinda
And three,
figured.
he's not promoting anything. Like Jack
Yeah.
Ryan's already playing on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Like what else could it be trending for?
See, and I thought it was just the speculation again of like, you know, the gatekeepers and the fanboys being like, oh, he should be it.
Yeah.
If Reed Richards is gonna, and also because it was timed with the fact that Peyton Reed was stepping down. Not Peyton Reed. I'm sorry.
John Watts.
John Watts was stepping down
from Fantastic Four.
From Fantastic Four.
directing, yeah.
So I thought, okay, well, this is all part of the big web of MCU news.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just people bringing it back. Like, oh, John Krasinski would make an incredible Reed Richards. You know, it didn't even occur to me, oh, he might be in the film.
Yeah.
And so to see him not only be Reed Richards, but in the full-fledged suit with the white wisps on the side of his, I mean,
What do you think about the suit?
I think it's great.
You like the suit?
And they've incorporated the new logo already. In that.
I saw that too.
I was like, oh,
wow,
yeah,
that looks good.
yeah.
Yeah, it looks. I love the suit.
I like it. So I'm curious then what that means for the actual 616 version and what that's going to look like, because 838 looks so on point.
I
But
know.
I mean, he could look exactly the same. Who knows?
Yeah. So, and then it got turned into blue spaghetti. So,
Mom spaghetti.
and then the last member of the Illuminati, the great return of the man himself,
Can't even.
Charles Xavier.
With the as listed in the credits, the X-Men 97 theme song.
Yes.
Which isn't even out yet, because that's the cartoon that they're working on right now.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I was like,
Interesting.
whoa, it's all tied
Man
together.
pulled up in his yellow floating wheelchair.
His little high chair. That's really exciting.
It is.
It's all very exciting.
I mean,
so-
even if we never see him again play
Yeah.
Charles Xavier,
exactly.
the fact that he made time to do this and be a part of it
Yeah,
is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Because
I'm fine with it.
because I thought he had a great ending in Logan.
Yeah.
Because I think he even said it himself. He was just like, if Hugh's done playing Wolverine,
Yeah.
I want to be done playing Charles Xavier.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that universe, like, yeah, he's done. Like, and he had a great send off.
Yeah.
I love Logan, such
Yeah.
a great movie.
Oh my God, it's incredible.
But then to see him come back and play this Universe 838 Xavier, I think it's just it's so unreal.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't believe I'm seeing Sir Patrick Stewart in
In the yellow hover wheelchair.
that in a canon MCU movie that's not, a Fox X-Men movie or whatever. And I was just like, this is insane. I was just like, and he's
Yeah.
playing a pretty prominent role in
Yeah.
the movie too. Like, he had a lot. He wasn't like,
Yeah.
it's not like they like had just, I mean, they're cameos, but it's not like they said one line. You see them say one line and they
and
leave.
they're done, right?
They had a couple of scenes where it's like, okay, like, first of all, you see Thanos impaled by a,
I know.
I was like, that's dark. I'm not used to that, but
By
okay.
his own what do you call that?
Oh, the thing. Oh, yeah.
I forgot what
I
it's
forget.
called.
Yeah. And then you see them have like Strange, and like it was it was kind of cool to see like how the Darkhold played a part in each of their universes.
Yeah.
And I love that like Strange is the most like dangerous person in each universe.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Like, oh, we don't care about no Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, they're like, Scarlet, what?
Doctor Strange is like
Yeah.
the
it's you.
evilest
What
one
Yeah.
of them all.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. But yeah, seeing Charles again and seeing him kind of his battle against Wanda,
Yeah.
seeing him walk was kind of like
They
jarring.
always do this, yeah.
I was just like,
It's a Professor X thing.
oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, and then he gets into her mind.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, well, what does the mind of a Scarlet Witch look like? You
Right.
know? And like,
Yeah, and I really love that treatment of that felt very familiar to the X-Men movies, in that it's a plain white space and it's just a single thing that's ultimately holding that person hostage in their own brain.
yeah.
And so the way that he approached, and then he tried to, like, you see the TV and it's got WandaVision playing on it. And
I was
just
like, oh
what the-
my God.
That was truly terrifying,
It
to be honest.
was.
And then, like, the fact, again, and, you know, we've mentioned this in previous episodes, when it comes to having an environment and a scene where there's just no sound, no music, nothing.
I was waiting, and I was
Yeah.
like, something's going to happen.
And then something's going to happen. And then she comes out and she's like,
Snaps his face in
Yeah.
half. He didn't
well,
break
not
his...
that, but I mean, like, Wanda coming out from under the rubble.
Oh, that too,
And she's
yeah.
like, help me.
Help me.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he gets his neck snapped by the other one. It's like, oh my gosh. Now, do you think that was a ruse, or do you think that that is actually what was happening in Wanda's brain? Do you think that the true Wanda Maximoff is being held hostage to that sort of extent from the Darkhold?
So
do you think it was
like, do I think that Wanda's trapped there and the Scarlet Witch has a hold on her?
Yeah. Do you think that is that sort of visual is like factual to the character? Like, do you think she's really, like, that's the analogy, is that she's being held under the rubble, the kind of the weight of the anxiety of what her life was, and the Darkhold is keeping her at bay, essentially.
Interesting, maybe.
I think so. Yes, I think absolutely yes.
Yeah, that was just an insane.
Like, I don't think it was a created environment just to spook the professor. You know what I mean? I think it really did have meaning. That's what's
like the
happening.
Darkhold. Like, this is what the Darkhold is doing to Wanda.
Yes, it's very
That
much
makes sense.
suppressing and
I
oppressing.
believe
her.
it.
Yeah, yeah, because that is very much Wanda. She's, you know, like,
She's
she and
trapped.
Pietro were trapped.
Yeah,
under
And-
that rubble,
and she, you know, found her way into this Darkhold, you know,
Right.
and like now she's like,
Right.
but before she met Agatha, like she didn't know what she was.
Right.
She's like, I have these powers, but okay. But then, you know, Agatha brings up the Darkhold and
Mm-hmm.
teaches her a little something, and then she steals it, and then now, you know, this.
exactly.
But yeah, seeing Professor X again, I don't know. I just think it was like just refreshing, nostalgic. Obviously,
Yeah.
he's played that role for over 20 years.
Yeah. And I certainly, as much as I do like James McAvoy in the role and as an actor, I feel like if it were him, it still wouldn't have had the same payoff as it does with Sir Patrick.
Yeah.
Like, seeing it as Sir Patrick, even though, again, he meets the sort of ultimate fate of he is dead in that universe, to see him in that in that yellow chair, dude,
Crazy.
9-year-old me was living. It's like, oh my gosh, yes. And it's one of those things where it's like, you just never know. And also, again, to see a different version
Yeah.
of this character still, like, kind of, and in, I hate using the word, but proper, like, looking proper as they do in the comic books is
Great.
it's so fun.
All comic accurate versions of those characters in that universe.
Yeah.
And then we had the Illuminati. We talked about Wanda, and then obviously we have to talk about the man himself, Doctor Strange.
Doctor. Mr. Doctor.
I loved his character arc. Actually, I like his love arc even more too, because the reason why I say that is because in most superhero movies, obviously, you know, we've seen the heroes kind of stay with the same love interest throughout like their whole either trilogy or whatever. You know, it's like it's let's say for example,
Pepper and Tony.
Tony and Pepper, Chris Evans. Well, yeah, Chris Evans, but Cap and Peggy,
Captain Peggy.
Thor and Jane.
Yeah.
So I like that in this, and this is the second Doctor Strange movie too, which is even crazier. That it starts off with that 616 Strange can't have hit Christine Palmer in that. Like, it's already off the bat. Like, she's getting married. Like I wish
she gone.
Like, yeah. Like, I wish we worked out, but I know we can't.
Right.
They both understand that. And then he goes to 838s, and then the whole "I love you in every universe."
Oh my god.
He's like, I know we can't.
That line.
I was like,
exquisite.
I found my wedding vows.
There you go.
And they just both. He knows it's like, because of who I am, I can never be with you. Just because it's like, you're a doctor and I am too, but it's just, I'm also a sorcerer. It'll never work out.
Yeah.
So it's like he's accepted that, and that, he's over it. Not completely over, but like, I know I can't be with you. And then boom, end of the movie, he meets Clea. And I'm like, sick.
Yeah.
Like, let's break that stigma of like you have to stay with the same person.
Right.
And like, I know Clea, because you told me that she's a love interest in the comics,
yes,
right?
Very much
So
yeah.
He said yes right away when she was like, Doctor Strange, you've caused an incursion. He's like, do you want to fix it? And he's like,
absolutely.
Let's do it. Yeah, I don't even know who you are. Screw it. Like, you just scratched open a portal right there. That's good.
Yeah. So, she, like I've said before, she is Mrs. Stephen Strange in the comics. She is Strange. She is Doctor Strange in the books in this very moment.
The third movie is going to be so insane.
It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I'm curious. Of course, Clea, portrayed by the incomparable Charlize Theron.
Insane.
I cannot. Like,
MCU is getting people.
I gotta tell you, in that stupid screening, I yelled out loud. First for John Krasinski, then again twice over for Charlize Theron, because she is a queen, truly a queen. And frankly, I never thought that either DC or Marvel would ever get her. I thought she's gonna stay course on, like sci-fi films, but not of a franchise per se.
Yeah. Like, she's one of those actors. She's like, I don't want to get sucked into that.
Yeah, and so to see her follow suit with the greats of, like, Angelina Jolie and Kate Blanchett and Salma Hayek, and join this
like these are like
gigantic menagerie of A-listers.
They're not just A-list. These are like A++ list.
Yes,
like people that, like, even no matter how like shitty of a movie like you make, if you attach these names, it'll sell.
It'll sell. And also they just bring a very high level of expectation and also delivery to the product that they're contributing to. So to see Charlize come in as Clea is kind of like, oh my god, where do I even start? She looks fantastic. She
posted those behind the scenes costume pics. Oh my god, they were really for a 10-second cameo.
Yeah,
they were invested.
Yes,
love that,
absolutely. And so, I think what they're setting up is really going to. I think that is really the offset of how this is going to intersect with Ant-Man and the quantum realm and our good friend Kang. But like I mentioned in our Doctor Strange episode, she is indeed the niece of Dormammu. So yes. Dormammu is her uncle. And then her parents, I think we talked a little bit about her parents and how she's half Faultine and also dark dimension magic. So she's like a part humanoid, mostly magic human being. And the dark dimension is her home. So
Steven's been there too.
Yeah, and so she, in the comic books, like I mentioned, she was present during the battle of Doctor Strange versus Dormammu, to the point that she actually helped Doctor Strange in a way. And then Dormammu realizes that after all is said and done, and then imprisons her in that realm until she's freed and all that good stuff. But it'll be interesting to see if they play into any of that at all what Clea knows about the bargain that Strange made with Dormammu at the time. If she was even there and helped in that battle, like who knows? But the fact that they're going back to the dark dimension to kind of reevaluate what Strange has done and how he's opened his third eye with the Book of Vishanti and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Like, how is this all going to play into it? And
the Darkhold, you mean, right?
The Darkhold as well. Yeah. Because the Vishanti book is supposed to counteract everything, right?
Yeah.
Although, by the way, it's very interesting because in the film, if you rewatch it, Benedict Cumberbatch says Vishanti, and then in other parts he says Vishanti. I was like, he did the Thanos thing that Zoe Saldana does. But anyway, but yeah, and also, because you have to remember, this is post Darkhold world.
Yeah.
So
doesn't exist.
What happens now?
Yeah.
Now that he's unlocked this power within himself.
Yeah.
And the book itself does not exist, and and Wundagore Mountain does not exist.
Yeah.
What is it? What is this all leading to?
I hope we find out sooner than later.
Yeah.
I just want to know what Kevin Feige pitched to Charlize Theron. In my honest opinion,
right? Like how do you
convince someone of that stature to be like, look,
yeah,
like, I
mean, step one, Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, he's a great candidate, right? To kind of, hey,
act against.
You want to be,
This might be like your scene partner, Right.
And
work with him.
He himself has a certain caliber of acting chops that I think.
Yeah,
she can hold up to very well.
I also love the character development of Strange, of dealing with kids.
Yeah.
Like
it's
obviously
like that SNL skit he did. Have you seen that?
I haven't. That was one of the ones I didn't watch.
So funny.
Okay.
He's like, I'm great with kids, and then he's just like, whenever something bad happens, he shoves one into a portal.
Was the most recent one he hosted?
I don't know how recent it is, but you've got to see it. It's very much like the Tom Hiddleston one as Loki.
Okay.
It's very similar. It's
okay.
So good.
So, I mean, like, obviously we know him as narcissistic, self-centered, selfish, whatever. And then we see in No Way Home, he kind of cares for Peter, and being like, he's like, hey, like, no one will remember you, kid. And they're like, that's okay. He's like, Will. And I was just like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
And then you see it here in Multiverse of Madness where he grows to kind of a liking towards America because he finds out like a little bit of her background. Like she's trying to find her parents, like her moms and everything. And he's like, oh man, like she's going through it. Yeah. And then he just becomes to learn a little bit more compassionate and kind of take her under his wing. And you see at the end, like,
and you know what I do love about that is that you almost don't remember that he doesn't remember Peter Parker because it comes so naturally. It comes so naturally for him. He reacts to America in such a way that is comparable and parallel to how he was with Peter, that you're like, oh right, he doesn't know Peter Parker anymore.
That's true.
He has no idea. So it's kind of like it's like this paternal part of Strange that is very natural to him, and he doesn't even realize it.
Yeah, because he doesn't remember.
He doesn't remember. And I think that's so sad to like think of, cause especially at the end where she's like, Steven, and he doesn't correct her. He doesn't say weird, but I'll allow it. Like he doesn't do any of that stuff.
And she like thanks him. He's like, you're welcome, kid. And I'm like,
and the kid thing and just, it's like,
Yeah, so I love where Doctor Strange is going. And they're really making it, the MCU is really making him kind of like the totem pole, I guess, or the pinnacle of like he's holding this
the mantle.
Yeah, the mantle. There you go. Of the MCU right now, because I mean, he's technically not the Sorcerer Supreme.
I know. Wong's got that one.
Yeah, he's got that one, but he is the best of us.
He is. There you go.
But I like where Doctor Strange is going, and I love that Benedict Cumberbatch enjoys playing him as long as
Yeah.
obviously there's a story
Yeah,
there.
and he's like down for another like 10 years. I was
Yeah,
like, all
because
right.
it's very easy to get tired of playing the same character, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, Robert Downey Jr. did it, Chris Evans did it, and I'm not saying they didn't love playing their characters, but it does get exhausting, especially when you do so many of these movies in a row, especially in that time. So I think now they're not doing like the whole contracts and everything and everything.
Yeah.
But I love that he loves playing Doctor Strange still, and you know, it's like you always hope that he'll do more.
Yeah.
You know,
And
can't
now-
get greedy. As fans, we can't get greedy. We just got to appreciate what's
Well,
there.
Now he's got Charlize Theron to bounce off of for a few years. So I'm just like, bring it. Bring it.
I hope they like become like romantic
Yeah.
in a movie, and then in the middle of that third movie, she just screws him over in some
My
way.
face. You think so?
I don't know.
But you know what? My only one. See, here we go.
That's like a typical storytelling trope.
But here, yeah. I mean, that's kind of inevitable, right?
Yeah.
Like there's something. Something.
like
is
she
gonna
wants
grow.
something out of him.
Right.
Yeah.
But I will say, on my writer list of asks and wants and desires from the MCU,
Yes.
from the Doctor Strange realm.
Yeah.
Now that they've given me Clea, I want the dog, the ghost dog that I mentioned in his episode. His name is Bats.
Yeah.
He is I don't know what you call it. He's that floppy eared dog. What do you call him?
Oh.
It's a beagle. It's
yeah.
a beagle.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
He's
yeah,
a
yeah,
beagle.
Yeah, yeah.
He's Bats the beagle. He's a ghost dog.
That's
That's all I want.
yeah.
I just want Bats the beagle, and I'll be good.
That third movie is gonna be
Woo!
insane.
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask you. Would you want Sam Raimi to return, or would you want a different director?
I don't know. I mean, the fact that he even returned. I mean, the fact that Sam Raimi returned and it was his style, his handprint on it. You know, it's great, and maybe I don't know, but I'm torn between like the director's already in that realm and in that story and environment. Might as well have them
Continue.
continue,
Right,
and then
like-
just up themselves,
Right, like
kind
Ryan
of thing,
Coogler.
you know?
Yeah.
You know, like Russo's done it.
Yeah.
Peyton Reed has done it. It's like just do it.
Yeah.
But I'm also about keeping it like, and if it goes to a new director, especially like with these MCU movies, especially and then with Doctor Strange has been like kind of so going from Scott Derrickson to Sam Raimi. Obviously, it's not really a hard transition because you know, like they get it. So, but it's like if let's say you go from like Sam Raimi to like I don't know, like a comedic director or something. I don't know. You know, like someone that's just like so like, oh, I didn't think they would be doing that.
Right.
You know, I'm not opposed to Sam Raimi coming back to do the third one. I'm not opposed to Scott Derrickson coming back to do the third one. I think it's, you just got to find the right one.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean,
I will say I would like to see Scott Derrickson come back.
yeah.
I do love his treatment with the character, but I agree. I think they'll find the right person, whoever that may be, and the shoe will fit. And I think it'll be great. I'm excited. God knows when it'll come out, but I'm excited.
Yeah,
I would aim for 2024.
As long
the
as
earliest.
as long as they just tell the right story
Yeah.
and it makes sense for the characters involved, that's all that matters.
Heck yeah.
Love it.
Love it.
Love Moon Knight. Love Multiverse of Madness. There's so much more Marvel coming out in the next 2 years.
Dude. No, well, do you have of this year, do you have anything in particular that is your favorite thing?
I think Mighty Thor is
Yeah?
gonna like satisfy a lot of just like yes. One is just because like I love Natalie Portman and I'm glad she's
My God.
and I'm glad she's coming back. You know,
Goddess.
especially after like the drama that came with After Dark World.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that Taika was able to kind of like, hey, this is what we're gonna do with it this time, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, and Natalie Portman's one of those actors too, you know?
Yeah.
Like you get her like you're good.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that she got jacked for this movie.
We'll never stop.
Yeah, her arms.
Yeah.
I wish my arms could look like that.
Same. I'm like,
they
never.
physically can't.
You would have to Photoshop my photo. I can't.
It's just insane. But I mean, the Thor.
I think same for me. I think same for me.
And there's a lot of stuff coming out.
And there's so much, and even this year there's been so much. So I'm kind of like, Spider-Man really did top off 21 for me. But for this year already, I'm like, whoo! There's so much to choose from.
Yeah.
But I think Mighty Thor. Yeah. Because Captain Carter was strong.
Yeah.
and also, like, again, Reed Richards, like,
crazy.
Strong. Like, whew.
Guardians Holiday Special also comes out this year.
Yeah, exactly. See, and that's the
end of the year.
That's what's gonna get me. And
that story continues after Thor.
After Thor. Yeah.
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 And then that goes right into Guardians 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what else I love, Jeff?
What?
Yelena Belova.
I will concur.
And so, as for a segue, next up on the show, we'll be covering the one and only Yelena Belova.
I will be wearing a vest.
Are you going to wear the vest? I have the vest.
You have the vest?
I have the vest.
I mean, I have my own version of a vest.
I have the vest.
Oh.
With all the pockets.
Can I wear it?
You can wear it.
I'll speak in a Russian accent. I shouldn't do that. I can't do that now. Never mind. I won't even last like a minute talking like that for an episode.
I'll get you a pot of mac and cheese with
and
the
ketchup.
sriracha.
Oh, sriracha.
And you can just go to town.
It sounds bomb. Being completely honest.
I tried it.
It's bomb.
My mouth did not agree. My mouth was like, nah, dog, what would you do?
Because of the sriracha or just
what
in
general?
general?
What have you done with the sriracha? Sriracha. Yeah. My palate does not like hot sauce.
Nice.
So Yelena would be very disappointed in me, but she is indeed our next character study.
Woo!
In 2 weeks' time.
Woo!
So please join us again. I do want to ask the crowd once again, and you, Geoffrey, as well.
Yes.
Instagram user RIJ143
nice
suggested quite a few characters that they would like to hear us cover next, and like I would love more people to really tell us. I think it's great when people tell us. And so this user specifically said, a new woman Marvel character that the movie hasn't come out for yet, but does soon. And they suggested Ms. Marvel. Well, she's coming out next week. Captain Marvel, we haven't talked about her yet, but that's a great candidate. Valkyrie, of course. Mighty Thor, and then Shuri. And then other characters that people have suggested to us include Mantis, Groot. We've covered Bucky, so we got to cross him off. Agent Coulson or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Ms. and Captain Marvel, Daredevil, Lucky the Pizza Dog, the Illuminati as a group, and then America Chavez. New kid on the block.
I love how it's like, that's why I love like MCU. I love there's like these grounded characters, and then there's these cosmic, like multiversal characters. It's just like, wow, like the range is
where
insane.
Where do you want to go next, Jeff? Do you want to go to Planet X, or do you want to stay here in New York with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I know,
you
crazy.
Have your pick of the litter. So
crazy.
So please tell us. And then hopefully we'll cover one of them after Yelena.
Yeah. Most definitely.
But so I think that signals the end of the show.
Woo!
Thanks for hanging with us and my con crud. I hope it's not completely unbearable.
Thanks for listening to my obsession with Elizabeth Olsen
/ Wanda Maximoff
/ the Scarlet Witch. I have a collectible. Side note: I have a collectible headdress. That I got from GameStop, and I made an unboxing video
with your also. Which I haven't seen a picture of you in, the Scarlet Witch ears that are completely sold out from California Adventure.
God, I am obsessed.
Everyone's trying to get them. Everyone. A We Are Groot salute to Patreon patrons. Laura, Tyler, Ariel, Ed, Katie, Melanie, Robin, the Arachnid, Joliz, Claire, Jenny, Ashley, Andrew, and Nats. Follow us on social at STRKCNTRST. And if you like what you hear, please review, rate, and subscribe. Just hit that 5-star, 4-star. We'll even take a 3, but please don't put the 3. Put the 5.
Please.
It would help us a gigantic amount. And that is all.
Thank you guys so much, and we will see you in the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Surprised you didn't puke?
It's not my first weird trip, kid. So, this is New York and the multiverse.
There it is.
Ah, crap.